regular meeting of the West Valley City Council. And let the roll call show that all members of the council are present tonight, and we have Assistant City Manager Paul Isaac filling in for City Manager Wayne Pyle, who is out this evening. It's my turn to have an opening ceremony. We take turns as council members in doing that, and today is primary election day. I even wore my patriotic tie to remind people, and an exciting day, and it's fun to be a spectator on election day for the first time in a while. But we have a lot of great candidates in our city that have really stepped up to run. We have people who sit here on this dais. We have people who are in the audience. We have others who are not here tonight, but who are out campaigning. And at the end of tonight, we have 7 running for mayor, and there will be 2 that move on to the November general election. We have 3 running for the at-large city council seat. There will be 2 that move on to the November election. And so it's the end of the road tonight for some. But I just want to express my appreciation to all the men and women who have gotten into this race and who show their passion for West Valley City by being out there championing our city, meeting with people, sharing their ideas, sharing their enthusiasm for how to make our community better. And with that, I've invited a special guest tonight for our opening ceremony who's with us via video. And this is our friend Theodore Roosevelt, who is going to share with us his famous in the arena statement that was first given to the students at the Sorbonne in Paris, and which is one of the classic quotes of all time, and one is a politician in the arena I've enjoyed, and I thought especially appropriate tonight for the many who have been in the arena in the West Valley City Council race this year. So, Mr. Arslanian, cue Mr. Roosevelt.
It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man, and today to the woman, who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming, but who knows the great devotions, the great enthusiasms, who spends himself in a worthy cause, and who, in the end, at the best, knows the triumph of high achievement, and who, at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, that his name shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat.
Thank you, Mr. President. And yes, that high, squeaky voice really is Teddy Roosevelt's voice, or a very close impersonation of it, if you ever listen to the old audio files on Teddy. But thank you for all of you who have been in the arena, and as we head to special recognitions, we like to, in addition to the candidates who may be up here on the dais tonight, who you can see their name, of course, we are pleased to recognize other candidates that may be with us tonight. Ron Bigelow, former Representative Bigelow here, running for mayor. Lars Nordfeldt, running for city council. We also have with us tonight former Representative Fred Cox. Other special recognitions, we'd like to recognize any scouts visiting tonight. And we do that by inviting one of the boy leaders to come up to the microphone and introduce your group.
So we're Scout Troop 597, and we're here to get the requirements for the citizenship and the community merit badge.
What was your name, sir?
Tyler.
Tyler, what school do you guys go to or live by?
Valley.
Valley, all right, go Ligers. Thanks, Tyler. Okay, I appreciate having you with us, gentlemen. Item 5 this evening is the approval of the minutes, and we have both the July 16th and July 23rd for consideration. Is there anyone who'd like to make a motion there?
I move for the approval of the minutes of July 16th and July 23rd.
Second.
Okay, thank you both. Any discussion there? All in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Item 6 tonight is our comment period. And this is the period where anyone can comment on any topic of their choice, unless it's pertaining to an item that's scheduled for a public hearing. And tonight we actually do approve our annual budget, or consider our annual budget, I should say, and consider approving it. And that item's coming up. And so if you've signed up to speak and you'd like to speak regarding the budget, then I'd ask that you hold on for a while. But the first one to sign up was Will Cochise? Coford. I'm sorry, can't read our own writing here. Will Coford, so come on up, sir. And you have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I'm the facility manager at the Acord Ice Center in the Centennial Pool located in Centennial Park. And the reason I wanted to come today, we're a Salt County facility. We're looking to expand our partnerships and find new ways to serve the community. So I just wanted to come and urge the city as well as those in attendance to please contact us if we can be of service in any way.
Great. Is there a website, Will, you want to direct people to?
You know, the best thing, the website's actually a little bit under construction right now. You can find us on Parks and Recreation at slco.org.
Okay, great. Good. Thank you. Fred Cox, budget. Okay. Mike Markham.
Mike Markham, 3008 Alice Circle. Just a couple of quick things. I don't know how many of you noticed we lost another small business on 3500. Some of you liked them, some of you didn't. The lawnmower shop is gone. Moved to South Salt Lake. I think that's a service that we need in the community. Don't know if we have one left. Another issue that I'd like to bring up for future reference, and this is one you don't want to hear about, is chickens. I'm opposed to them to start it all off with, but I think the chicken issue is something that I'd wait till after the first of the year because the dynamics of this may change. Let those guys go on the carpet. Another issue that I don't know if I'm at a place, it's something that was discussed in the study meeting about the Ivory development, that we want to change all the low-density housing to very high density. I think we have enough very high-density housing in the city. We need to look at that. I understand it's already been advised to you guys not to approve or however that process works. But I think we have enough high-density housing. I don't know high-density housing impacts the police department, the fire department. I don't know if it offsets the budget. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, sir. That's who we had signed up for our public comment period today. Now we'll go to item 6B, city manager comments. Mr. Isaac, anything you'd like to say today?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, 6C, city council comments. Anyone on the council have anything to say today?
As long as Mr. Colford is here, just some information for him. My grandkids participate in the house hockey leagues that are out there. And that is a very dark entrance at night. The lights from the parking lot don't get over there, and I don't know that there's any outside lights there over the entrance. So you may just want to look at that and see where you can improve that entrance lighting.
Absolutely.
Okay, any other council members' comments tonight? Okay, I'll just add, Mr. Crawford, I appreciate having the Acord Ice Arena in our city, and we're a better city because of it, and I've been there for different activities and always enjoyed it, and I understand you have some great new hires out there and doing a lot of innovative things, so we appreciate you coming out tonight and putting a face with that great organization. And do you work with, I assume you do some partnerships maybe with Nancy Day at our fitness center?
We do. We're just anything we can do, any kind of partnership we're looking to expand.
And I would say, and Paul, I hope I'm not out of place with this, but if you ever have activities or things going on that you want us to help promote through our city social media or other online or other calendars or anything else, please let us know, and we're happy to help spread the word, because even though we don't run that facility, it's in our community, and many people that use it are our constituents as well. So thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
We go on to item 7 tonight, which is a public hearing regarding the budget for fiscal year 2013-2014. Mr. Isaac?
Thank you, Mayor.
It's really a pleasure this evening. I'm glad we have some of you here, some of you citizens here, and because I think you're going to be very well educated on the process that we go through to approve the city's budget. Tonight is a public hearing regarding the tentative budget that has already been given to council for their review, and also been put in a situation where the public has had access to that budget. So tonight, as a result of the process that we need to go through, we're now going to have a public hearing and receive input from anyone that would like to give us input regarding the budget. And if it's okay with the council and the mayor, I'd like to suggest that we allow our finance director to come forward, and I've asked him tonight to actually, not only will he be addressing the council, but he also will be addressing you. And so he'll be trying to turn around and going back and forth, because this is really something that's important for all of you folks here tonight to have input on. At the request of some of the members of council, we've decided that we're going to, first of all, talk a little bit about what it means to have a truth and taxation hearing like we're having tonight. So if that's okay with you, Mr. Mayor, we will go ahead and turn the time over to Jim for our finance director, Mr. Jim Wells.
Thank you. Thank you. When Mr. Isaac and I were working on the budget, we felt that it would be helpful to review the taxation process for those that have shown up this evening. West Valley City has taken the approach over the last several years to hold truth in taxation hearings, which give the opportunity for the public to understand a little bit better what property tax is derived from and what it takes to change the property tax rates. So what I've done is I've gone through and explained the truth in taxation process. Utah State Code requires, well, it actually requires that if a city is going to adjust the property tax rate, either up or down, that they hold a public hearing. That's called a truth in taxation hearing. In that hearing, we go over the budget, we address a certified rate that's been calculated from the county that we're either going to adjust to create more revenue, or else we're going to change from the rate which they normally have, which would create the situation for a judgment levy. Each year on bullet point number 3, businesses that appeal the values to their property taxes are awarded a judgment. So if somebody, like a few years ago we had ATK come in and they went through the court system and they found that they had been overpaying their taxes for a number of years, they were awarded a judgment, or they were awarded a rebate from the overpayments that they made for many years. Well, that rebate comes out of money that they would normally give to the city for operations. And so the city will go back, and the state has allowed us to adopt the judgment rate, which the county calculates, to allow us to shift that money that we ordinarily would be giving as a rebate, not have available for operations, to individuals or else all of the other businesses in the city that have been underpaying for a number of those years. And that's typically what they are. They're usually very small amounts. In this year, the change in our certified rate, and I'll show this in, let's go to the next slide. Jake, can you advance that for me? There we go. The certified property tax rate is actually an adjustment of 0.1%, or approximately 26 cents per month, or $3 per year. So it's a very small amount that is shifted from businesses that have been overpaying to businesses and individuals that have been underpaying for repeals for the last year. So it's not really a big difference, but it makes a difference of about $183,000 for the city this year, and we need that money for operations, so that's where we're making this adjustment. It is not an increase for operations, it's a shift that maintains our revenues level with where they were in previous years. There is no property tax increase for operations proposed this year. That is an option that is available. For municipalities, there are a number of cities and counties that are doing that. I know Salt Lake County is for the library. For the Salt Lake County operations, Taylorsville, there's another number of other entities that are doing increases for operations, and we are not. That equates to the average value of a home, which the county calculated in West Valley City of $155,000 or $3.16 per year, and that's the amount of the adjustment. Now, if you go back and you look at your property tax bill, I can guarantee it's not going to be the same as that, because there's a lot of other rates that we'll be adjusting. As I mentioned, some of those in the county, plus they balance that with the valuation of homes and businesses in your neighborhood. So if the value of homes go up, the rate actually goes down, and vice versa. If the values go down, the rate goes up. So the amount of property tax that you pay does change on a monthly basis. An annual basis. Let's go to the next one. This is the notice that some of you probably saw in the newspaper. By law, it's required to be published twice, and it gave the date of our public hearing, which is today. Normally, cities are required by code to adopt a budget in June so that they can continue to operate throughout the rest of the next fiscal year. By holding a property taxation hearing like we are tonight, it allows the city a little bit more breathing room to get their projections a little bit more accurate. If you think about it, we have to project next year's revenue based on information that we receive on a monthly basis. If we adopt the budget in June, it means that our revenue projections are only good through May, and the fiscal year hasn't even closed yet, which ends in June. So by adopting the budget in August, it allows us to get more accurate projections, and we end up with a much better budget. So that's another benefit of having the Truth in Taxation hearing. Another little benefit that we have on our website, and this is accessible to all of you, if you go into to the West Valley City website, there's a property tax calculator that allows you to put in the value of your home, and it will calculate an estimated property tax bill. If you look at this chart, the top part of the bill would be an estimate of the total property taxes that you would be paying, or 100% of your property tax bill. You'll notice that the majority of that goes to Granite School District, that the lower portion, or 27.5% of your bill, is what West Valley City operates on. So if your home is worth $155,000, your tax bill would be $1,471. Of that, West Valley would operate on $398. And then in this calculator, if you look at that small pie chart, that shows you how we break up our budget, how much of our money goes to the different types of operations. The majority going to police, miscellaneous services, which include administration, a lot of the other different types of operations, debt services in there, and then of course fire, and it goes through the rest of the departments. The reasons we're required to, many of you are familiar with this slide, but the reasons we're required to put together a budget is to reflect the objectives of the City Council. Once a year we meet in a strategic planning retreat where we go through the priorities of the council, and with those priorities as a staff, we put together a budget trying to meet those objectives. We're also required by law to put together a budget so that we spend the money efficiently. One thing that's a little bit different in Utah is we're required to operate on a balanced budget, which we propose every single year. We don't operate like the feds do. We can't operate at a deficit, so that's a good thing. We are also required to have full disclosure of our expenditures and our revenues. So we have a strong public disclosure availability that you can look up our budget anytime, and it's always available to you. We also prepare this to what is known as Government Finance Officer Association standards, which is an international standard of excellence, which for a number of years, I think we're upwards of 20 years now, we received the top honors and award for budget presentation. And we're very proud of that, and we've worked very hard to make sure that we have a good budget that's presented to both our council and our citizens. Some dates that we hit, I won't spend too much time on this, but we have a calendar. We actually start our budget in about December, where we start looking at the revenue projections. If we were to adopt our budget, we would have to have those projections done in April or May. As you can see, by waiting until August and doing the public hearing for the Truth in Taxation hearing, it allows us to do our projections through the end of the fiscal year, and it makes our projections much more accurate, and we feel like a much better budget to be presented to the public. With the expenditures, there's a number of things that we take into account. We look at the changes in fixed costs, we look at the changes in variable costs, the needs of our capital facilities, what's the condition of our roads, what's happening to fuel, to utilities, debt service. It's much like your own budget in your home. Are your utilities going up? Ours go up also. Are your healthcare costs going up? Yes, they do go up. And sometimes the city gets impacted by those fairly significantly, so we'll take those into account when we build the new budget. This is the comparison of last year to this year in the budget. This year, the proposed budget is $68,986,000 in the general fund. Again, this is kind of a breakdown of that pie chart that I showed earlier. The majority goes to police, and then fire, and then non-departmental, which is the third, includes the debt service for all of the facilities that we have throughout our community, and a lot of the enterprise fund type transfers. And then we also have public works, law, community preservation, and you can also see the percentage of the budget that goes to each of those operations. Just kind of the same information in a breakdown. This is our revenues. You can see the property tax is the largest portion of the revenues that it takes to run a city. That's also what we're adopting tonight, is the property tax rate. The second largest portion of revenues that cities operate on is sales tax. We actually, in 2007, we were collecting about $22 million in sales tax. That has dropped off to in the neighborhood about $17.5 million in 2008. Y'all remember what happened with the economy at that point. And then we've slowly been creeping our way up. Right now we're up to 20 million. I think that's 889 that we're projecting this next year. So we feel like there is good growth. We're on track to meet those projections. And then the majority of our revenue comes in through fees and other services. The expenditures, this just breaks it down similar to the other pie chart that we had. Okay.
Just one other, if I could, Jim, just one other thing that I'd like you to reiterate is that we still have not reached the levels of sales tax revenue that we had in 2008. So I hope that was clear. And we see our trend going up, and that's a good sign. But we're still not even at the levels that we were back in 2008. And you did mention that, but I just want to make sure that that's clear to everybody as well.
Okay, thank you. Does this conclude the staff? Anything else?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you very
And
much.
I will proceed to open the public hearing regarding the budget this year. Is there anyone who's come to speak on this matter? Mr. Cox, as you come forward to the microphone, if you can please state your name and address of our records.
Fred Cox, 4466 Early Duke Street. I wanted to make a couple of comments. I appreciate the fact that I was able to find the 20-page summary that was available online this time, and I got an email copy as well, which was helpful. I did go through that. I thought it was interesting that to look back a couple of years where the council had raised the property tax, and I noticed that year about $24 million came in from items that were sold. About 4.6 million came in that was counted in the general fund, and the other was, I believe, golf. But I thought it was also interesting just to look at some numbers that were different than what I remembered. The police, the traffic fines, it looked like you were going to bring in 5.1 million, and you only brought in 3.3, and I thought it was great. I was not looking forward to driving in the city and was afraid that you were just balancing the budget on traffic fines, and so I'm glad that didn't happen.
Contrary to popular myth, that's not how cities balance their budgets.
Well,
This one anyway.
it looked like that on paper, so I'm glad that wasn't actually what happened. And I did have one clarification. It looked like you were going to raise the rates on the electrical utility fee, but I was told that you can't raise the rates. You're just estimating that we'll use more power. In 2008, I did have a lot more income coming in, so maybe if next year is better, I will actually use more power, and so maybe I'll make more money that way. There is a couple of questions that I do have. There was a 2.8 million transfer. It was shown as a negative expense, which usually is a revenue. but I'm not positive. It was in the pie chart. It's also found a couple other places. I was wondering if that means that we have 2.8 million extra that we're moving out of the general fund to someplace else, because there's 68 million or whatever overall, and there's about 100 million total. And I was just wondering if that's coming in or is that going out? Because 2 years ago, there was about 3.8 million that was not used. It was left on the table, and about 6 million that was pulled out that was transferred from the general fund someplace else. And then instead of spending 3.8 for Utopia, you only spent 2.8. So I guess Utopia didn't get as much that year as you had expected. I just was wondering that 2.8, that's coming in or out, something to look at. That was in your pie chart. On page 3, there's about 2 million, and I don't know if that's where it came from. I did have several other questions that are pretty detailed for this type of a scenario, but I did want to know if that 20 million for the golf fund just stays in the golf fund, and because I didn't see it being transferred out. So apparently you sold $20 million worth of property, and it just looks like it's going to stay in that golf fund. And I just wanted to double check that. And a couple of years ago, you brought in from somewhere I couldn't figure out about $6 million to get spent on the cool plazas, the stream, the weighing station, everything else that's not too far from here. And I just wasn't sure where that money came from. It showed up in the general budget. Those are just a couple of comments. You don't have to answer them all.
And is there anything else? I'd rather have you ask all your questions and comments, and then we'll let the staff.
Those are the basic ones. Obviously, the $70 additional amount a year that the increase was a couple of years ago isn't necessarily a deal killer, but for businesses, I have seen businesses disappear with the tax increase, and so I'd love to see this actually be a meeting to decrease it back down, but apparently that's not happening this year. But I am glad that we're not going up like some of the other cities are. So I just wanted to say that I actually read this thing, so.
We're pleased that we have residents that, besides just us and the staff, to read this thing. So we appreciate your comments and questions, Mr. Cox.
Okay.
And we'll give the staff a few moments to maybe answer some of those things.
Sure. In fact, well, Mr. Cox, as you mentioned, you did get into some good detail. I think, just talking to Mr. Welch, and we will try to respond in a general way. Frankly, we would also like to, if it's okay with you, we would like to meet with you, and
sure,
we can go through some of those other things.
Some of the specifics, but I'm more interested in the big sure, items. I didn't bring up the small ones.
Okay.
So, thanks. Do you want me to stay here, or do you want me to go sit down?
I can go ahead and sit down. If there's some sort of follow-up question, feel free to pop back up.
Thanks.
We try to have a good open dialogue in our transparent city. So. Okay, staff. Let's see. Let's talk first on the $2.8 million transfer.
Sure. I wrote down the items that I had. If you'd like me to just go ahead and respond to those, I'll do that. On the transfers, the city has debt service that's in funds other than the general fund, and we transfer money to the redevelopment agency to cover some of those debts. Those transfers also go out to cover some of the debt that's included in the Maverick Center, that's included in the fitness center, and a number of our other projects. So those transfers are moved from the general fund to another fund to cover the debt service. There was nothing that was moved outside of it other than operational needs and debt service. The golf fund, actually, a couple of years ago, you referred to the money that was transferred out from the Stonebridge Golf Course, I believe it was, since Westridge is paid off. Stonebridge actually was a redevelopment agency project to begin with, and money was transferred from the general fund to Stonebridge to help cover the operations and the debt service, and then we moved that to the building authority to make the payments on the debt service for that fund. Last year we refinanced that debt at Stonebridge to get a little bit of a lower rate, So the transfers are now going to debt service. The money that came in for the promenade, which Mr. Cox mentioned, actually came in during the middle of the year and is not included in the original budget that was adopted. And as you know, semi-annually we hold a budget adjustment meeting where we will take monies that are coming in during the year and we will authorize the spending of those monies for special projects. That can come in the form of grants, it can come in the form of additional revenue or other sources of revenue that come into the city. And the project for the promenade and other similar projects such as parks and roads projects are addressed on a semi-annual basis and are included in those adjustments.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who's here to speak tonight in this public hearing regarding the budget? Somehow there's less public feedback on years when we don't raise taxes, which is a beautiful thing and a good lesson, frankly. Okay, I will now close the public hearing and turn the opportunity over to any council member to comment or make a motion on Resolution 13111, which is this upcoming budget. Any questions, council? Comments, a motion?
I'll just bring up one thing that the finance director did an excellent job with the graphs and the numbers as he's supposed to, and to paint a clear picture of just what's going on with the capturing the property taxes as well as the small amount of the judgment levy this year. But I think it's also just from my end important to just point out that the system that we operate in and with the assistance of the county and the county assessor, and everybody gets their property evaluations or their property valuations, and then to look at them and go and to appeal them if they feel they've been treated unjustly, and have that reset and reestablish and see a rebate. And with us going through the process tonight of setting the balances even, and Jim pointed out that it was $183,000. To me, it really doesn't matter if it's 5 cents or $1 million. It's nice to take care of this, just not from a balancing everything out record standpoint, but it's just an equality and a tax fairness thing. That if last year I paid $3 less than I was supposed to because my neighbors and some businesses across the city were charged a little bit too much, then I'm more than happy to. As far as taxes go, this one is higher up on my list of setting things straight and setting everything equal, and so I'm glad we're going through the process of not just to recapture the $183,000, but to just demonstrate to the public that our commitment to having a fair and equitable process across the city. So,
thank you.
Just a comment, as I go out and visit and meet with residents, a common comment is thank you for the $1,400 tax bill. And I always like to remind them that $1,400 tax bill is not entirely the city. And as we see tonight, that the $380 or $400 tax bill that actually comes for the city,
about 27%.
Yeah. And it's difficult to have all the residents understand that tax bill consists of lots of different taxing entities, and we were talking about this earlier today, and Mr. Isaac made the comment that he pays more than $300 a year just for a home alarm system. So he's paying for a redundant service. He's paying both for his police and for alarm service. So I think if we put it in perspective, and for the service that we receive, that the $300 or $400 a year, I think we get a very good service from our city.
At the beginning of the year, in January, I gave a State of the City address, which some of you heard, but in there I addressed our city's finances. I'm just going to read a couple lines from that. It says, out here in the West, our city's finances are healthy and not by accident. We continue to look for ways to be smarter with our precious dollars. For example, last year we took our utility billing in-house. Rather than paying Rocky Mountain Power to include these bills in their statements, we now send out over 27,000 bills and process them ourselves. This has increased our accuracy, transparency, efficiency, and collection rates in billing and interaction with our citizens. While many Utah communities raised taxes last year, we did not. And of course, again, this year we are not. We held the line on spending and lived within our means. This, coupled with our growing economic development, led Fitch Ratings to upgrade our bond rating at the end of last year. Our city was awarded the Distinguished Budget Award for the 22nd year last year, and recently the 23rd time, and the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the 21st time by the Government Finance Officers Association. These awards represent the highest form of recognition in governmental accounting and reporting. This is a significant achievement, demonstrates the consistent efforts and expertise of the Finance Department to prepare and present accurate and high-quality financial documents. So this is a big night. It's a big night for the entire staff and team that have worked to get us to this point with the budget. It's obviously a big challenge for Jim Welch and his team and Finance Department to put all this together. And you know, I'm proud of our city. I'm proud of where we're going. I'm proud of when you look at the budget and you look at how we spend our budget, and 32% is police and 13% is fire. Those are the biggest chunks. And boy, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to cut any of that. And I'm glad that when you look at our city and our crime rates, crime's down 11% in the past 4 years. We're moving in the right direction. When you look at businesses, we've seen more jobs created in our city in the past 3 years than any period in our city history. 6,000 jobs in the last 3 years just in West Valley City. So it's sad when you hear of a business that leaves, but we're having far more ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings as more and more businesses coming to West Valley City. So we're on the right track in so many ways, and this budget, I think, is a testament to that. So just wanted to give a shout out to the staff who spends that money that we authorize and spends it wisely and is accounting for it in an open and transparent way tonight. Any other comments or a motion?
Mayor, move for approval of Resolution 13111.
Second.
Okay, thank you both. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving the budget 13-111, please say aye.
Aye.
Any who oppose? Okay, the budget passes unanimously, and unlike the feds, we can live within our means and we'll function another year. Mr. Isaac, we have Resolution 13-112.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The resolution before you is to approve our contractual agreements with our dental benefit carrier, EMI. Normally we've had these contracts kind of late in the year, but we've managed to, as a result of our prodding from our great city recorder, we've been able to put these on the docket as they should be, quicker. She's given me the evil eye. So before you tonight is just to approve the contract that we have already negotiated for, and effective July 1, we are in with EMI.
Okay. So if we don't pass it, then what, Paul?
Then you will not be able to get your teeth cleaned.
Okay, with that incentive, any motions or?
Mayor, I'd move approval of Resolution 13112.
Second.
Okay, thank you all. Any further discussion?
Just another item that, you know, as they put the budget together, the benefit package for the employees, and here we see, you know, a slight increase in the dental premiums. So all those things are factored in to the budget, and even though there was an increase, we didn't have to do an increase to the budget. So very good.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of approving Resolution 13112, please say aye.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously, and the employees can have their teeth cleaned one more year. All right, item 9 tonight, an executive session. Any need for an executive session by anybody?
No, oh, excuse me, sir.
None from you? Anyone?
No, sir.
Okay, none from the staff or the council. We'll come to item 10, which is to adjourn. Just a note to our scouts or those watching at home. In addition to sitting in the role of the city council, we're also the redevelopment agency, housing authority, and other boards from time to time. So we do have a couple of brief meetings here, but I will adjourn the city council meeting.
Call to order the West Valley City Redevelopment Agency. We've had our opening ceremony and a roll call that shows that all are present. We have minutes of the July 2nd, 2013 minutes that need to be approved.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval of the July 2nd, 2013 minutes.
Second?
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any communications, Mr. Isaac?
No, sir?
Any report?
No, sir.
And then we'll adjourn this meeting.
Call to order the West Valley City Housing Authority meeting. We have an opening ceremony and a roll call. All is present. We have the minutes from the July 2nd, 2013 meeting.
Move for approval of the July 2nd, 2013 meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any communications or report?
No, ma'am.
Okay, that will be adjourned.